Hey everyone, it's Stacey Luces. Welcome to Beyond the Quo. And if you're hearing this, tomorrow is going to be 2026. I heard a lot of people say they do not want a Lent rather repeat of 2025. A lot of people are over it. Personally, love-hate relationship, kind of, I loved epic parts of it. And then I completely, if I saw parts of 2025, laying on the sidewalk, I'd drive my car gently over it. I wouldn't reverse, which is important. I would keep going. But as we close out the year and sort of, it's such a time of reflection, and we have all these aspirations, all of these hopes for the coming year. I wanted this final episode for 2025 to feel a little bit like a conversation that stays with you, to feel a little bit like home, to have some fun with it. And I want it to be the kind that influences a little bit some of the intentions you're going to set for yourself. And I say that deliberately because there's a difference between intentions and resolutions.
Yes.
Resolutions we break, and intentions we have the best outcome in mind when we sort of set an intention. And I think there's a part of our spirit that rises up to the occasion to fulfill an intention versus, oh, I got to make this New Year's resolutions, right? So I'm very excited to share that I have a very special guest today helping me close out. Her name is Yulimar Trumbo. Hello.
Hello. Very happy to be here.
Yes. We grabbed dinner earlier this week and ended up talking for over 3 hours. And then our kids started checking us out on Live 360 and where are you? And we're like, we have friends. We have lives. We're eating grown-up dinner. Leave us alone. Anyway, all that to say, Yuli is somebody that I deeply respect and admire.
Same.
And even though physically, we've only known each other, we were in shock that it had been a year.
Only a year.
There's something, I was reflecting on that driving home, and I said, everybody I've met in the past year and a half, 2 years, it's felt like I've known them forever. And I do think when you raise your vibration and when you totally connect with people on a different level, that's the feeling you become accustomed to. There's no learning curve.
Absolutely.
There's just alignment, and you just go from there. So amazing to have you. I want to talk a little bit about Yuli, right? Just so you don't think this is just some normal person sitting in this chair, some normal ass person. So
I love that.
Yes,
Yuli.
Yuli, she is an investor in the future of entrepreneurs. I love that. She has spent over a decade working across more than 40 countries. That's about how old I am. Partnering with Fortune 500 companies, international NGOs, government leaders, and most importantly, entrepreneurs who were once surviving and now thriving. What sets her apart isn't just her world-class sales facilitation or her global experience. It's her ability to ask the kind of questions that shift perspectives. You know I'm all about that. Go beyond surface level truths and unlock new paths forward. She challenges the status quo with heart and with intelligence. And I want to say with a deep belief in everything is going to be okay. We just have to hang in there, and that everything should be accessible, especially to those in underserved communities, and that together we rise quicker and faster. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for hopping on Christmas Eve to record this, right?
Absolutely.
And so I want to say that this conversation is going to feel exactly right for a New Year's Eve. If you are like me, you'd probably be watching some portion of Stranger Things. I make no apologies about that. Or my daughter and I decided that we may go and watch Avatar 3 in 3D again.
That's true. Okay.
Right? Because it was epic. And so if you're just quietly sitting at home listening to this episode, for those of my friends in the North, by your fireplace, wearing 17 layers, my apologies.
Not us.
Not us. Or you're releasing a lot of what holds you back, or you are surrendering to maybe a limitation that you didn't know was in the way of more success or more love or more peace. Or you're just envisioning what kind of future you want, setting your intentions. A lot of us do vision boards. Whatever the future is that you feel you want to start building on January 1st, or actually whenever, right? Because what movie it was? He said every day is a present.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
All of them.
Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
This is the place to be. All right. So I thought about some questions for both of us to sort of play badminton with, right?
Got it.
So one of the episodes I did earlier this month, Yuli, had to do with not having regrets, but having reflections
Yes.
and not setting resolutions, but having intentions.
Mhm.
If you think about the last decade of your life, last 10 years, gosh, less hair dye for sure for me.
Mhm.
What is a decision that you don't regret, even though it was hard or misunderstood or maybe even uncomfortable for you or others at the time?
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just begin with a slide questions, right? That's awesome. Well, so first of all, I feel that when you live life in the present, the more you do it, the more away you are from having regrets. That's a deep belief I have. So more than thinking of not having regrets, I love to think that the more and more present I am, the more I'm, plenty and aligned and trusting whatever is coming. I gotta say, and not because it was hard. Maybe there was some hardship on that, but my marriage and my children, like every single day waking up and with my husband and just having that joy every single day just shows that was a great decision every single day for the last 20 years. So that has been good. In the last 10 years, that's a lot that has happened, I have to tell you. So there is a thing that maybe we haven't shared before, but I decided after I was working with all these international and projects and sales and so on, there was a time where the thing was becoming very hard regarding traveling a lot, and my children were still little. Now they are teenagers and kind of self-sustainable, but
it's a little easier now.
No, but it's a different type of presence that they need, but they need a presence, nevertheless. And it was very hard for me to go 5 weeks, 6 weeks at a time out of a country for a mission. And so we decided, you know what, I'm going to switch into more domestic things. I was not stepping out so much at the time. And also my husband and I decided, you know what, at this point, instead of like seeking a job just to find the two professionals that are having, the double income at home. So we decided I was going to just dedicate to do the homeschooling for the children, that I was just going to work on some projects that were of my own, choice and that. And that was hard and was unpopular, mostly in my family, I have to say at the beginning, because aside, we're raised to be professionals, so sustainable and all these things. And, but now it was hard at the beginning, but then, I look back and I say that was the worthiest investment. I believe family is a business, an enterprise, and the return is happiness and growth. And so we are all investing time, energy, and everything to have all the members growing and all the members happy as you can be. And that was the most important, continues to be the most important investment I have had. And that definitely was a decision.
I feel like there's so much parallels there. So 10 years ago, 11, if you really want to be technical about it, we relocated to Florida from DC. And this was after my whole burnout and all of that medical situation. And I had to make big changes quick. Like everything felt urgent. Like nothing could wait until I was older or I retire. Like everything had to be like done, because the sense of urgency around time isn't really promised to us was like important. And I remember starting my entrepreneurial journey quietly on the side with a full-time job, with a full-time travel plate.
And a full family.
And a marriage. Didn't have a dog yet, so that was like a blessing in disguise. But I remember when I made the decision to leave corporate fully and do my own thing. And this is coming up. Actually, the 22nd of December would be 3 years.
Oh.
Fully like left everything and quit my big job with the big title in DC and left. And there hasn't been any regret, but certainly there have been times in the last 3 years I was like, oh my God. Wouldn't it be nice every 2 weeks to just collect a big fat paycheck or have, paid vacation through the holidays, all right? Or when I was fully enmeshed in client work and they're calling all hours of the day and night, especially if you're on contract or retainer. And there hasn't been regrets, but there's certainly been moments where the thought was, did I do the right thing? And what you said is so important in that for different seasons of our lives, and for a lot of us moms, it has to do with our children, right? In the sense of, are you in a toddler season? Are you in a preteen season? Are you now, they're teenagers, right? They're young adults entering college on their own, and they need us differently. Yeah. And I think the ability to have the power, the personal power to flex your time and your presence and how you scale forward in your career and scale back and what you choose, the projects you choose and the people you choose.
Yes.
That's been the most important thing for me. The learning for me this year specifically has been really curating circles where I feel great every day. That's not to say there are some people I don't want to like trip gently, but for the most part,
it is never 100%. Yes, actually, because it's like you were saying something so. This year has been absolutely all about that because you have to be very observant, and I have said this all along. You know, like you have to be very observant of where are you seeing, where are you investing your time, who are the people you're sharing with. And there has to be alignment. It's inevitable that there is somebody that, it's like, no, we are not together here. But there has to be alignment. And everything has to be super intentional because that awareness only comes from like you observing, this is not feeling good. Yes. This person is really not into that. And be very sincere and say the full sentence. No, it's a full sentence. And no to events and no to people and no to places.
It's not even compromise, right, Yuli? It's no to, look, even when we were having dinner, they totally bought, I feel, the wrong drink. But this guy was like, no, it tastes the same. And I'm looking at the 3 coffee beans floating on the top of the martini. And I was like, that's an espresso. Pistachio would not have coffee beans floating on it. And he's like looking at me, and that good girl in me was like, oh, just drink the drink. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, no, thank you. That's not. Give me a dirty martini with filthy blue cheese olives. But even those things, those small things.
Yes.
Reclaiming that autonomy over what it is you want.
Absolutely. And that is something that you have to leave.
Yeah.
And be at peace with. Because no, it's a full sentence. It's a thing that I tell my children, that I tell my partners, that I tell, pretty much everybody, my mentees. And so a part of life is always about saying more yes. And this part of life is saying more no's. And that's how you protect your time and you protect your priorities. And I'm working on it, right? Like it has been a whole learning curve this year because so many changes had happened in many, many things in many, many realms. But protecting your time and protecting who you are and not compromising that drink moment is literally, as you are on the small, you're on the big. And then that means that if you're willing to compromise what you really want, who you really are for just pleasing people and not looking good. Oh, no, absolutely not. So this year has been all about protecting your time and saying no many, many times.
So we talk about 3 things predominantly on this podcast. We talk about living authentically. We talk about redefining success on our own terms. And I think we touched that on kind of that first question. And we talk about leading courageously. And one of the things I try to live very deliberately is leading myself first, because I think we think the title gives us permission to lead in the company that we're in or on our entrepreneurial journey or whatever. We think that gives us permission, but we don't need permission to lead ourselves. And I find that with many people, the leading of the self comes sometimes last, in the sense of keeping or having integrity with yourself, whether it's your resolutions or your intentions or whatever the pretty words are, but it's also the bigger things, right? It's the relationships and the health of your relationships. And I think coming up to this time, it's always bittersweet for a lot of people because family comes with baggage. family comes with their old ideas of you, right? And what the expectations are, whether it's religious expectations or traditions, or we've always done it this way. Or I know a friend of mine is, she hasn't drunk any alcohol this year, and she's dreading going home because she's like, they're just going to be like, oh, it's just one drink. So they sort of, they sort of bulldoze their way through your little bubble that you've had all year that you can control your environment. But talk to me a little bit about, I don't want to use the word, I hate to use the word boundaries, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's overused. But really it's about the integrity with yourself and leading yourself first before you can actively and honestly do the things that you want to do.
Boundaries. Wow. Let me see. So the first thing is, the first loyalty has to be to yourself.
Yeah.
To God and to yourself. That's for me, right?
Yeah.
And so being very honest about the things that you want to be or not, that's up to you. And the whole social pressure, I haven't drank alcohol for the last, almost 30 years. I'm vegetarian. And it's all by choice.
Yes.
Right? And it's not a big achievement or anything. It's just a choice that has been confronted, and some people didn't like it. Who cares about that? And there is a question I always tell my children when they tell me, oh, so-and-so told me so. And I go, okay, do they pay your mortgage?
Right.
Do they pay your car? Do they feed you? Okay, so those
or
the
favorite one, if your friends jumped off a cliff, would you?
Well, I found that doesn't work that much in the teenager brain, but that one is like, do they pay your car, your mortgage, your food? It's like, no. Okay, so they do not have a right on an opinion, which leaves the parents on the right of the opinion. And then they go like, and even myself, I have my opinion, but it is really up to you. Mm-hmm. So your own, the integrity starts with just being exactly.
Keep a promise.
I want to say knowing who you are, because at the very end, we are always finding out, right? Yeah. But if you know that you're an introvert, and that for you, replenishing of energy is just sitting with a book and just not being in every single networking event there is in town,
every single one,
then please just do it, because you're going to be so much a better human being. At whatever you do, you're going to be better. The people that are going to show and in your experience are going to be just more sincere, because that's who you are. Yeah. You're more sincere. And that's the thing that I always, whatever I am and I bring from myself.
It's quality less so than quantity.
Yes, absolutely. You don't want everybody. You want the good ones around you. The excellent the ones that want to be with you, the ones that share with you. And that for me is essential, because there is no environment that you will blame for being or not being something. That is super out of your hands, and that's delegating every single responsibility in life and choices. You put it out there, and that's losing power. So whatever you decide, okay, I want to drink because everybody's drinking, go for it. I want to not to sit down with these people because I don't want to do it, then go for it. And people will respect you the more for that. They will not like it, but I always say there are two types of problems in this world, mine and everybody else's, and that's a problem number two.
Somebody was saying, I forget who said this, but it stayed with me. It stayed with me well over a decade, which is the quality of your thoughts determine the quality of your life.
Absolutely.
And I find that to be so true in that how you choose to show up for the past, whether that's, some people have gone through debilitating tragedies. There is no doubt about that. But there's this little analogy I use with my clients, which is if you went to a restaurant and it had the worst food you could imagine, the highest, most expensive prices, the worst service, and you were just like flabbergasted, would you go to that restaurant every day? Right. Never. However, sometimes we take the worst things that have happened to us and we go back every day. We revisit that experience, we revisit the memory, we revisit the conversation, and we're digging into it, and really it staunches growth. Because how much can you go back to the bad restaurant?
You know what? And that is something this year I went to a conference. My mom is the one that is following, which we share a path of spiritual cultivation for more than 30 years. And so she's a very curious mind. She's 74, but she's very young.
I love your mom.
Young.
Shout her out for us.
Definitely. Young is in the soul and in the mind that is inquisitive and curious and full of all the things that are happening. She was an immigrant at 65 years old. 63. So imagine being an immigrant already at any age of life is kind of shocking. But she did it at 63 years old. And it's like, kudos. I mean, this is the role model that I seek and I aspire to be. Yeah. And so we were talking, and she actually was sharing with me some teachings and some people that are out there with really good books and really good conferences. And so the whole thing about being present, the whole thing about understanding the way you show, the whole thing about boundaries, the whole thing, it is a practice that you have to take on a daily basis.
It's training.
It's
like soul training, yeah.
Totally daily basis. And then to be faced with the hard questions, that nobody's going to really ask you the hard questions. If you're lucky, you have somebody that will ask you hard questions. But having the curiosity to seek, is there something else? Is there something different that I can do here? Is there something that I'm not seeing? What is out there that is there for me? And you have this, the feeling in the gut that is like,
I wish I could explain to people how amazing it is to start listening to when your body responds to a situation or a conversation before your mouth and your brain kick in.
Yes.
Because you will feel it, whether it's in the heat in your cheeks or your stomach, or there's a visceral, very quiet retraction. And yet we're taught to power through our instinct that something is not right.
Yeah, and
for us.
Yes, for the good and for the not so good. And you feel it first in your body. And I think the practice also is to just act accordingly. Always act accordingly, because you know when somebody's lying to you. And that I find that fascinating, because you go like, oh, first, you have to see when you're lying yourself. Yeah, that's the first
and energetically, our energetic forces touch before we even speak.
Absolutely. Even being on the same place. Yeah. And then on the other side, you also know a genuine person, because you feel it. It gives you joy, even if you haven't met fully that person, and you say, "Oh, it has been 20 years." No, a year. But you feel the joy of finding a genuine human being. Yes. And that is something that you get it in. I always say it in the gut. That's why the gut. But you get it. And to use that to your advantage, meaning like, as long as you align with that, the more yourself you can be, the more authentic you can show to everything. And I think things flow easier, because world is complicated.
So people like to pick a word for the year. I'm not a fan of it. I pick a word for the day. But if you had to pick something, or a word or an intention, or set, like spiritually set yourself up for next year, like what do you think?
For next year, I thought you were talking about this. Okay,
what would that?
For this year was transformational, literally transformational. For 2026. Wow, the world I oscillates between miraculous and
I love
clarity.
That. Yeah,
because those are the two words that the more you're in the flow, people call it miracles, but it's just life showing through you. And miraculous will be the 2026, and clarity. Give me 2 words. Yes. Don't give me only one.
I'll give you 2. I'll give you 3,
please.
I don't know. For me, it's a funny word, but so I feel like, okay, so let me set this up with a story. A couple Christmases ago, we hosted, and a bunch of our friends, we had dinner, and all of us pretty much had kids who were just hanging out, right? So the kids were maybe in between 13 and 17 at the time. So they didn't want to have anything to do with us. Let's just put it that way. So we all ate, and then they're all doing their own thing outside, and we all sat around the table playing cards and stuff on our patio. And we were talking about what we wanted to be when we were growing up, right? And hilarious, because we had to give something that was completely unmoored, like unhinged, something that was, no, your parents would love this. So for me, obviously, was like a doctor. And then the unhinged one was, and I swear to you, I wrote an essay about this when I was younger. I wanted to be the chief chocolate taster in a chocolate factory.
Unhinged.
And I did the introduction, the 3 paragraphs giving my criteria, and then the conclusion, right? Because it's a proper essay. Anyway, so we were all like laughing. And so the kids were intrigued by the conversation. And so they all kind of gathered around and we started asking them. And so my son at the time wanted to be a policeman. And so they were off to the races with it. And this one kid, Justin, very kind of, what's the right word? He's not an introvert, but he's sort of like very quiet and observant until like engaged, right? And he's like, no, I don't want to tell you guys. And he walked away. So now his parents were like, no, well, everybody share it. You come share. So they're kind of forcing him a little bit. And finally, he just stood and he looked around at each of us individually. It was maybe, I would say about 8 of us, so 4 couples. And he said, I really don't want to. And his parents were, well, why? And he said something so simple, but it was so truthful. He said, grown-ups can be dream killers.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, shit.
And there was the body.
And there was a quiet lull in conversation because, damn it, we can be. And it comes from the best intentions. It comes from wanting to keep you safe, wanting to keep you loved, wanting to make sure you earn enough money to like be, have a great future, the future we didn't have or we wish for you, right? And he was so like gentle about it. And he just walked away. He was his own human, right? Very resolute that he was not going to share his dream. And so back to the question, I think my word for the year is that very unrealistic word of dream.
Yeah.
Dreaming, dreamer, dreamscaping, whatever. Because I think sometimes we go in our minds and in our plans and in our desire for things only so far as we think is safe.
Oh.
Enough not to fail. Ish.
That I love what he did because that I work a lot.
Oh, he set a hard boundary.
That was amazing because it's like the teenagers this year also have been a revelation for me in many ways on the things that they have said and the things that they have shared with me. And Watson Institute at Lynn, that they run the Bachelor of Science in Social Entrepreneurship. We work with them a lot. We mentor students. We hire students. It's like they are an amazing team. But then they have this, it's like a tagline or slogan that is protect your courage.
Oh.
Protect your courage. And the courage to dream is definitely the biggest of them all, right? Yeah. Because your dream is something, I always imagine that if all realities exist, past, present, and future, in the same moment, our dream is our future self that we have already achieved that is talking to us. Yeah. And then protecting that, that dream is literally protecting yourself in a way because you haven't become that, but you are giving it a space and believing in that and doing the things for that.
Yeah.
So I think those are the wisest words that I've ever heard. Yes. It's like that, I'm not going to tell you because I don't need your bad energy and bad juju.
Look, all these years later, I still talk about it.
This is amazing. Yes. I love it.
There was a fundamental shift in me because I remember as a child speaking to adults about things deeply important to me in my child's voice, my child's perception of the world, where you have dreams and you want to be a unicorn. I mean, I don't know, right? But they would totally look at you like, oh my God, no.
That's really? You have a lot of that people?
In our family growing up, I would say the elders who had gone through a lot of strife, their whole MO was do the practical thing so that you will be provided for and safe, and less so the more whimsical stuff. Like if you liked art, you can't make any money with art.
It's like such.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's such a right. It's such a cultural thing, and we jokingly say, "Oh, if it's a lawyer, doctor, dentist," but it still happens.
But you know what? I just think. Okay.
Tell me about the innovation part. Like I love that. Like at Lynn, like how are young people?
Oh my God! Yeah. So first of all, I told you that Watson runs the Bachelor of Science in Social Entrepreneurship. So out of all the people that are doing all the stuff, amazing and Lynn, by the way, because we love being there. They are like home. These people are the most amazing. We have a fairy godmother. Shout out to Madison Slade because they are really the leadership that you want to see in an educational institution. I appreciate them very much because it's always something going on. It's something good. And all those kids that we have worked with, because it's not only that, career, is that the many that are on there. And it has always been, wow. I was not doing that at 19 years old. That's for sure. Right. But then the very particular part that has to do with social entrepreneurship, these kids have something that is very poignant to me, which is awareness. Awareness of what is happening. Awareness of first degree awareness. They have lived through things. They have gone through things. They have observed. They have this awareness for one side, and then the willingness to do something about it. And the whole system is supportive of shaping the way they want to, just giving the tools of what we know to shape the unknown, if that makes any sense. Because for them, it's like, you know what, I want to do this for this part of a population that is suffering X, Y, and Z. And then there are many ways to do it. So how can we shape that problem? How can we formulate the problem so we can give a solution that we know that at least is going to give an impact to that? We're not going to solve a whole problem, but at least we're going to solve a part of it. And so the process that I have seen, so we have been there already almost 6 years. And in the 6 years that we have been there, we have been working with, the students and the leadership team and all that at the university. And so to see how that process is truly to help them shape the unknown into something that they can execute on and work on and give a solution. It's, uniting clarity and intention and action. And that is like, that's freaking amazing.
And it's generational, right? Like I watch sometimes my son teaching my dad things, basic technology things, or like how to do different things or think differently. And there's a patience that Adam has with my dad, like a very old soul kind of patience with him. And I think that when we talk about change, people get nervous because they think, oh, I've got to start a movement and like go protest. Like you think big astronomical MLK type things, right? When really change can happen at the very organic home root level where you can maybe volunteer in your local church or whatever it is. But I also want to say that as a parent, so one, I didn't grow up, I was the eldest of 5. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, I want to be a mom. I was like, ew, kids, gross. Like, ugh, until I had them. And I was like, wow, it's like a whole different.
That's a whole different dimension.
It's a whole different level.
You wouldn't have achieved unless.
Of consciousness. You use that word consciousness, right? And I think that in some of the work that both of us do, for me, my core belief is that we're here to, yes, make the world a better place, even though that sounds corny to some people, but also the way that I choose to do that is helping the parents like myself or the adults like myself. Even if you're not a parent, you're influencing young people, because I probably won't have the patience to help teenagers. You know what I mean? I'm very like analytic and I want to get to the point. And so when I help the parents in the sense of their mindset and their emotional shifts and the patterns and like coaching adults in my mind, that is the influence I'm having on the next generation. Because the shift for me, the shift for me and my circles when I started doing the work that I'm doing on myself and with people influences the way that all of us collectively show up for each other, parent, influence, the type of access that we try to give them is very different than that generation, maybe 2 generations before us, which was very much about security and protection.
But you know what? I think that is a very individual. I understand.
It has to be for everybody.
It's absolutely, but I understand about patterns in generations. I get it because it's like a collective, collective subconscious, right? Yes. Like we share that mindset, and it's just something that happened to Generation X and Boomers and so on. Okay, but I give you this story. We were doing hallacas. Is the very typical Venezuelan Christmas dish.
I still need my kit of it. We talked about this 3 days ago. I'm not even going to look at Ryan because I owe him pilau, which is a Trinidadian version of a rice dish.
But the whole point of hallacas is that at least the way that you inherit and you grow up is a family thing.
Yes.
It's a family thing. And every family have their version. That's the first thing. And everybody will tell you their mom's hallaca is going to be the best. That's inevitable.
Of course. That's a rite of passion.
And every different region of a country in family will have a touch of something. And somewhere in the hallaca. It's a basic what, but the how is slightly different, right? And so for me, what was interesting is that, so we had my mom, we have my sister and I, and then we have my daughter, which absolutely love hallacas, to do hallacas. And the whole being part of it, and we have music in the background, and it's like, it's a process that we are sharing together. And so at one point, it was interesting. There were so many learnings that happened there because it's the unspoken rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And it is not much of tradition, it's how we are creating our new rules of engagement and new traditions, right? And so at the beginning, it was my mom, and she was there like somehow she worked already a little bit before, so we can do like the day before and the day off. And so she started to complain, and I'm so tired. And so in that moment, I go, Mommy, we love to be here.
Yeah.
We love to do this, not to fight, not to, if you're tired, stop. Let's just do different ways. But this is a happy time.
Yeah.
And you know what? For whatever reason, she decided, you know what? This is me. We laughed so hard. Yeah. Just on thinking, my daughter would say, Ma, abuelita, tell me some memories of Venezuela. And then she would share about the town where she lived and about her childhood and about things that were related to the Christmas time and some wild, crazy things. And it was just funny to see.
Isn't it funny when they start opening up? Like, you're like,
yes, but she will not tell me that. She will tell that to my daughter because this is the granddaughter grandma bond. Oh, but there was a switch on that. There was definitely a new collaboration, a new way to engage. And so for me, traditions and it's the way you want it to be. And the most important part, and I think that this is for us and this is for the country in general and for the world, you waiting for the people to build the reality that you're in, you're behind. You have to always think this country, I'm working for it, I'm working on it, I'm working with it, and I'm being part of it, and I'm building. Yeah. Not to say, they are building or not building for me. No, that's not. The table you bring, you grab that chair and you get a space. And if they don't want to give you, then you ask the questions. It's like, what is going on? Is this the right table? How do we create a new same page? So at all times, it's always an individual experience on how do we engage and we.
When you said that to me last night, night before over dinner, we were talking about building Whistle and that table and how it feels incredibly big and sometimes like a huge responsibility, but it also feels quiet and intimate and safe. And I think that's kind of like your story about them coming together to do this thing that you think you know how to do. But by the influences of all the people at the table, bringing the influences of the hundreds of people that they've been interacting with, whether it's social media, school, whatever, it's always an intricate sort of rebirth to some extent, right?
And every encounter will be so. And it's so, and that is, I think, my slogan the whole year. And since then, it has been creating a new same page.
Yeah.
Because the problem, I think, is that, first of all, everybody's way too much self-absorbed with whatever is happening in your own reality to see what else is happening out there. But then, in the minute that you have the curiosity, which nobody can really plant on you, you have to have that.
Yeah, you have to be curious.
Then you start seeing, is there a way where we can both fit? And you will find out that reality for one person and the other alone will not make it, but then both, they can create a new same page. So it's all about creating a new same page for everybody, even the people that you dissent with, the people that do not sit on the same corners and side. And that is something that is especially important with that people.
Don't you feel, so we have a whole bunch of people walking past us here in the studio looking in.
Yes.
I feel like that koala bear. So I want to talk about relationships a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and we talked about this the other night, a blessing that we know we have and are grateful for is our partners. And both of us have been decades with very strong, evolved humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, and I'm grounded in that every day. There are a lot of people that are lonely. Like I feel like we always talk about, especially this time of year, is like a loneliness epidemic, right? Like even in the time we are most connected, a lot of folks are lonely on a visceral level.
Mm-hmm.
And liking comments and watching others have their moments is even making it, there's a comparison, and it's like, well, even if I go out, I won't have that much fun or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like what advice would you have? And advice is maybe the wrong word. And, we always say having strong relationships that withstand our seasons,
Mm-hmm.
good, bad, and in between, and decades, and looking at the same face every day and still being happy to see them. Like, what would you say to folks who are like, well, that's never going to be for me? And it doesn't have to be like a marriage, but like partnership or companionship. Like, what do you think is something that, if you could distill it into what's made your relationship so successful, this person that is imperative to not only our health, but our evolution, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, the exercise of looking back 5-10 years, my husband and I were sitting having dinner the other day and then looking at pictures, and it's like, let's look 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. And it's, like, I can see the grace in my hair changing. Mine,
can we not even talk about how crazy this year?
Welcome, great. But I think, and this is something that it is always an advice and an experience that I have shared. Because advice, yes, you're right. It's like, from my point of view, this is the thing that has worked for me. You go ahead and experience yourself.
Yeah. Extract what you will.
Yes, but every single relationship is work in the sense that requires time, and it's an investment, and especially your marriage, because my husband is my husband, my friend, my partner, my lover, my business partner. So it's like so many things. My accountability body when I'm doing exercise and eating, and it's like, oh well, listen, or calling each other.
I'm going to tell you a funny story about the first time I did my podcast.
But it's just he always said something that resonated with me from the time we were dating. And he always said, between you and I, we are three in this relationship. And the very first time he said that, I was like, what? He said, in this relationship, we are you, there is you, there is me, and there is the relationship. And the three of us have to grow similar. And so nobody can fall behind, because then everybody else is going to pay the price. Yeah. He always told me that. And at the beginning, I was like, I just don't get it. 20 years into it. And I go, every single relationship is like that. There is the other person, there is you, and there is a relationship. And it's a motherhood, and it's sisterhood, and it's friendship, and it's, work business.
It's the relationship.
It's just recognizing that person is a whole entity of dreams and hopes and worries and aspirations and knowledge and wisdom. You are one. And then whatever you build together, it has to be growing at around the same level. And sometimes it happens that literally, when you say we grew apart, what is it? Both of you grew, but the relationship didn't. And so you have to take a different approach to that. Either you build again or you just walk away. But it's a choice. And so for me, that is definitely understanding that the relationship is the third one that requires that work and that love and that energy. And for everybody, that's why, for me, I got to tell you this. So COVID was a process of unveiling and getting you naked. We were talking about being naked.
Yes.
Because you could not hide anymore from your relationships in work. And you could not hide anymore, vice versa, your health because of work, or your work because of health. And it's like everything was overlapping on the same dimension, on the same screen, on the same house. And you had nowhere to hide.
Nowhere.
And so right now, 5 years down the road, we are seeing what is happening or what has happened after everybody got naked. Seeing who you really are in front of a very big turning point collectively.
And many relationships, partnerships, businesses didn't survive because of that.
Yes.
It had less to do with the economical bounce back and more to do with the physical, spiritual, you and the fact that we fundamentally changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to reevaluate everything. And I think that has been a really good filter in the last 5 years. You say about loneliness during the holidays and all that. And
you can be lonely in a room full of freaking people.
But that is the thing that just the holidays enhance it. But I have to say that I remember being the first Christmas here in the United States. I was by myself and I was expecting to have my mom and my sister after an interview at the U.S. Embassy in Venezuela 20 years ago. And the 23rd of December, they were supposed to fly and they got rejected, their visas right there and then. And I remember having the house beautifully decorated. Yeah. And I was by myself because my boyfriend at the time, my husband, he was even in Virginia and I was here in Florida. And I remember waking up on a Christmas day and I would say that was the first time I was by myself, completely all by myself, like very much right there. And I was thinking, how interesting, because there are choices. And even though I was sad because, of course, I wanted to have my family. But that was not the first time I was away from home. I was an immigrant first at the age of 16 when I moved to France for 2 years. But then at that time, it felt so different because it's like, you know what? My dream at the time was to have again all my family, no matter where in the world, and that we will just choose to be together. Yeah. Not because we have to be together.
There's something interesting about what you said. I'll tell you what dawned on me. So I went to my birth country, Trinidad, last year after being gone for like about 14 years. So it's a long time to be gone, right?
It's about the time I had without going to Venezuela.
And so when I went home, I was trying to explain to someone how I felt because I made an effort to look at that country and at my people with my grown-up eyes. Right? With the eyes that I have now, not my child eyes. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I think we sometimes...
It's like the house you lived when you were a child.
But I think for a lot of grown-ups right now, they are looking at things with their child eyes or their teenage eyes. And the judgments that you have, the stereotypes, like it's not your grown-up eyes, right? And I think that to your point about curiosity, like in relationships, an exercise I do every year is I look at the 20 people that I spend the most time with. And people are like, oh, 20 is a lot. You can include your coworkers, like the people that you spend your time, and not even your time. I know we say time, but it's really your life. Our time is our life. You can't separate the two.
Totally.
And so who are you spending your life with? And if you are in a work situation or a relationship or morbidly unhappy or moderately discomforted with where you are. And this is the whole thrust of Beyond the Quo is we can spend 80 years repeating the same day.
Oh, God forbid.
Right. And so having the courage to step into, am I leading and living the life I want to live by virtue of the time I'm spending wherever? And then stripping that down to the basic building blocks is such hard but worthy work. And I think with relationships too, I have friends. So we got married, been married for 22 years. And during that time, everybody in our friend group for the 2 years around before, then us, then after, everybody got married. It was this flurry of weddings, right? And at our 10th and 15th year wedding anniversaries, we looked around and we were one of the only couples left standing. And I think it has to do with a number of things, but predominantly that very early on we understood we would love each other at different levels in our lives.
Yes, and at different stages as well. Yes. Because you grow, you change, and that person has to meet you every single time.
And sometimes it is you giving more, and sometimes it is them giving more, and it never really is equal. like Kevin right now, the love is there, but the effort, right? Like we have to carry each other sometimes through motherhood, menopause. I'm speaking like right now. Kevin lost his mom. Mm-hmm. So his capacity to show up for the holidays is diminished. So now I can't cook for shit. Let's just get that out there. But I pulled out a recipe book that I bought in my teenage years when I moved to this country. And I was like, all right, well, I just got to figure this out.
It's your time.
Right.
And you know what?
So the ebb and flow
yes.
And the I don't want to say sacrifice. It is the willingness to step into the deep end. And I'm using a funny example, but it could be for tough times at work, or maybe your career is stalled. Maybe you are like, whatever it is, the ability to tap in and take the lead.
But it's just, you know what? I have this funny exercise where you have your own dictionary. Your own dictionary.
Oh, tell
me.
Right?
You have your own dictionary, and sometimes you get some awareness about what words are you repeating the most.
Oh, love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you realizing, it's like the wearing the red shoes thing that we were talking about. It's that once you start paying attention, you realize how many times you say, I can't, or that's not possible, or that's the way with it. Like these sentences that you swear that you never will tell them.
And your brain will believe you.
Them.
Your brain believes you.
Yes. Yeah. And so in the dictionary, for me, in my dictionary, long time ago, the words sacrifice and balance, it's not even real. That's a trap that
it's integration is more like
people do not like to believe there is no such a thing. Balance is like when you go to the circus and the guy's doing it on the rope, right? But other than that, I believe in center. Mm-hmm. Once you're in center, everything falls in place, and there are going to be times where you have more time to be allocated to your children and to your work and to your PhD and to your whatever it is. And there are some other times where the bubbles change in size. But other than that, there are words in your dictionary that are not helping you. Mm-hmm. And then when you realize that, it's like, you know what? It's not true. I don't believe in balance. I don't believe in sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And this is a very shocking thing, like Beyond the Quo. Because it's like, what do you really define as sacrifice? I'm going to be bad, so somebody else is going to be good. When you really dig into...
who's giving that judgment anyway?
That's my point. And so when you go into that, you go like, okay, so that means that person has more rights to be happy than I am. And I also kind of find a scenario when we can both be fine. And that's a limitation that you never get into there to explore. And you go like, you know what? There is a way where we can create a new same page where we can both be fine.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that person has to do as much as I do, because that's a judgment as well. It's just I can help that person where they are, and they can help me where I am.
There's this word, equanimity. The first time I heard equanimity, I was like,
equanimity.
Equanimity is finding that center.
Oh, okay.
Where you understand who you are in the world. Mm-hmm. You understand your core values. You understand. And it may shift, it may change to meet the moment, but for the most part, you are okay. And I think that is the biggest blessing, is that you know the universe itself has your back.
Yes. And that's a belief.
It's a belief.
That's a belief, and I know about...
And even the bad things have its time and place and its purpose. And it may not be you understand a year from now or 10, but at some point, that lesson or the remedy from whatever happened is the tablet, the go button for helping somebody else. And that's the weirdest life lesson. And it's not always loved.
Appreciate it.
Right. But the universe has your back.
But beyond that, even, not only the universe has your back, is the way that you are interacting with somebody that is needing something changes. Because when I say no sacrifice, it's, oh, look at this woman, it's so horrible. It's like, that's prejudice, right? And when you're thinking about it, it's that you are meeting somebody that is needing something. And instead of like, oh, I'm going to sacrifice for you, it's not. We are equals. We both deserve, it's like actually a bigger way of respecting somebody, because we both deserve respect, love, and happiness. And there are things that we can do together. And that's a whole different
thing. And you
have
to also give people the space to go through the process.
Totally.
So, I mean, I was saying something to Kevin. So his mom passed a couple of weeks now. And I had a lot of guilt over my presence because we were launching our new business and all of these things. And I was traveling a lot, and it's a lot. And I said, I feel guilty that I'm not here for you as much, or I don't know how to help. Like, I want to help more. And he said, there's nothing you can do at this moment. And I was like, he's right. And I equated it. It dawned on me. So I had a miscarriage before Alyssa. So that was 20 years ago. And nothing he could have done. No meal he could have cooked.
Process that you have to undergo.
Meal he could have cooked. No roller coaster was like exciting enough. Like, nothing was the right thing to absolve that process. And so once I put my own, using my grown-up eyes, I was like, it has nothing to do with him. In that moment when I was going through my thing, it had nothing to do with the way that he showed up in his love or the things anybody was saying or doing. It was my process for grieving. And so now I just stepped back and I said, okay, do it your way. I will shake this recipe book out. Do you know what I mean? But it was such we're never too old to have these moments where we're like, shit, I don't know what I'm talking about.
But you know what? It's to me, that's so interesting because when you say giving a space to somebody to be and to process an emotion or an experience, we never see ourselves the way that people see us and our presence in their life. We just have a judgment about what we think it is and not even the real thing. Nevertheless, we try, but it's never, we never get it. Yeah. And so that is such a limitation because, again, we come always from what we think it should be. And when you think about it, it's like, I should be more. And guilt is all about that. It's all about the judgment that you do on the things that you perceive about what you do. And it's very self-serving. Totally.
And it's people will be like, oh, well, no, I'm just trying to be kind. No, it's self-serving.
It's all on
your ego is like, I should be able to solve this for
I should be doing X, Y, and Z. But then it's that gap, I think, is the killer. That is the killer. The guilt is the killer.
And just be present.
The guilt is a total killer. And that's a learning that
Another
I got
dream
this
killer.
year. No, in the dictionary. So I told you, sacrifice, balance, and the new word is guilt because responsibility and guilt even are the very different words. One is empowering and one is very debilitating.
Yes.
But then when you realize that the only thing that you can do is do literally everything that you can at the extent of your capacity. And then at the very end, you will find out what it is really about. I remember I was a swimmer when I was a young person a long time ago. So I was a swimmer from age 8 to 17. Then I got to compete and I was always competing. It was a very interesting situation because I got to see, the mindset and the preparation and the training and all that. Yeah. And so there was something that we call the last mile, the last swimming pool, the last pool, right? So you will swim with all the strength that you had for the whole thing. But then at the very one, you leave it all. You leave it all. Like the time that you touch that wall, that's it. They have to pretty much take you out of the water because you have nothing left on you. Yeah. And that sensation, it's something that I have carried with me my whole life because you learn to do everything
that way.
Beyond the result, beyond the outcome, beyond if you were first, second, third, whatever. It doesn't matter because you did everything. And so right there in that nothing on that empty tank or whatever is in the moment where you see, oh, you know what? You have a satisfaction that is very, very deep and very personal because there is nothing left in that moment. And then you did everything and you go, okay, there is going to be this is a new zero, but I did everything. And it's a release.
From my version of that is surrender. Like surrendering to an outcome that eventually I cannot control.
Yes.
Because you could get a cramp in the water. Do you know what I mean? But surrender has its own, people taste it differently. It seems like defeat or giving up or you lose something if there is surrender. And I think The hardest lesson for me was surrender is actually a beautiful thing, right? Like surrendering to the process or this relationship or the unknown or the fact that I can do my best and still not anticipate what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the whole control part to me is part of the dictionary. Because it's like it's a joke, right?
It's such a joke.
It's you can control the fact that you can walk on your two legs.
but even so,
and then even so, things will happen.
There's a funny story, and then I'll wrap us up. People want to be safe, so we have our seatbelts, and our babies are in the 5-point harness, right? When they're born, in the car, and all of the things, helmets, all the things, right? There was an old lady, a true story, Yuli. I read this and I laughed so hard. I mean, it was a tragic story, but I laughed because it's the epitome of how the universe laughs at us, right? This woman is in her rocking chair in her house, knitting. She's knitting. She's living the quintessential
peaceful.
Yeah. And an arrow comes through her window. I don't mean to laugh if her family's listening to this. A freaking rogue arrow comes through her window and pierces her in the heart. And I'm like, what?
But that literally resumes it for you, right? It's like that is literally life.
So and live your life.
And if there is one thing, and I know we're wrapping this up, get comfortable with uncomfortable.
And don't be an asshole.
That just be comfortable with being completely out there where you don't know anybody, where you don't know the language, where you don't know. That is the skill. If you say, okay, so 2026, what am I going to practice? Be comfortable with uncomfortable. You have to dress the way you don't do, and talk to the people you don't do, and go and see things that you have not seen, and go to places you have not been, and really learn words
and just
that you have not done. Because it's like you have to get out of your own head.
And don't be a dream
please.
killer.
That's what makes us to be dream killers.
Don't be a dream killer. Yes. All right. Your wish for folks as they're listening to this for the new year.
My wish for folks is everything is inside. All the answers are the processes to get there. The remedy to loneliness. It starts with inside and good questions. Please ask good questions. Find good questions to be asked to you, because everything is in there, and there's a way to find it.
Yeah. And better questions lead to better answers, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you all for spending this year with us and Beyond the Quo. Our community has grown. Countries that listen to us has grown. I get more comments. I don't have any hate mail yet, so that's really good. I guess I haven't made it,
Ryan,
until I get hate mail.
You have to get some.
I will say that I'm excited about next year. I am motivated, inspired, in spite of what some would consider a chaotic year. In chaos, there's also beauty and there's also opportunities.
Absolutely.
And so my wish for all of you is that you continue to not to be quirky, but to be quirky. Move beyond the status quo in your life, beyond the comfort zone, beyond living the same day that you've been living for the last however many years, and try something different. And I will catch you in January. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yay.